Welcome to Alpha Wolf's Den. It's here that we seek enlightenment. Alpha Wolf Trading recognizes that the most successful companies in the world at one point had no earnings. There's a lot more to a company than just its earnings report. That's why here at Alpha Wolf's Den, we interview executive teams. We want to get to know management. We want to understand the vision, the mission, the strategic drivers, the plan. We want to separate fact from fluff. This is not a paid for promotion interview. This is solely wanting to know the company's vision, mission, their critical success factors, their strengths, their weaknesses, their opportunities, and the threats. We want to know the long-term objective and the tactical initiatives that leadership plans to implement to achieve success. We want to know about the company's debt, the cap structure, what it's going to take for them to become self-sustaining and stop burning through cash. We want to know management's previous failures, challenges, hurdles, how they overcame them, or what they learned that they can apply in their current role. We're trying to identify the risk and the reward. And oftentimes, it's strong leadership that makes the difference between success and failure. Here at Alpha Wolf Trading, we are looking for the hidden gems. And I hope you enjoy this interview because this is one of those companies that I think could be a hidden gem. Please understand that this is for educational and entertainment purposes only. This is not financial advice, and I am not a financial advisor. Any investment that you decide to make in any security should be based upon your own due diligence and opinion. Hey there, all you stock junkies. So listen, this first half of the interview with Phunware, I, in good conscience, could not put that out as a finished product. I kept it here, but really get into the meat of everything that I wanted to cover in part 2, which I just completed here today. Now, I do want to give everyone a warning in advance. There are a couple of swear words that get used in this second half, and there's some opinions that are shared. These are just opinions. They're not meant to offend anybody. It's just an opinion, okay? And everybody is entitled to their opinion, so listen to the entire interview. Don't get dissuaded just because maybe you don't agree with a point of view. I think it's worth it. Phunware is a very interesting story, and we really get to the meat and potatoes in this second half. So I'm going to roll it out. Enjoy. Hey everybody, Tim from Alpha Wolf Trading coming at you with a very special guest, one that I've been excited to get on, Randall Crowder from
What's going on, Tim? Appreciate you having me.
No, I'll tell you, this is an exciting one. There's only a handful of executives that I think are rock stars, and you are definitely one of those guys. So Phunware, which had an amazing run recently, but I think overall is it just a very interesting story of startup in a completely different industry and really having to reinvent yourselves, and which I think you have successfully done, not easily and not on a very smooth road. I think it's been a tough ride, but you guys are fighters. You're a fighter, right? And
we're definitely fighters, but it's not a reinvention. It's an evolution, and I think that's what anybody. I know you've introduced. Hopefully, a lot of people pay attention to you about Phunware now because you had a great entry point. But remember, we got our start building mobile applications. So we built the first NFL app, built the first NASCAR app, built all of Fox's mobile application portfolio. So we were building large enterprise grade, scalable, reliable mobile ecosystems, full stop. We did it better than anybody in the world because we did it with some of the best brands, WWE, Sochi Olympics, you name it. We were involved across the passion verticals, sports, media, entertainment. What we did was not reinvent ourselves. What we did was do what, any good entrepreneur, thinks about is, all right, how do I take what I know and how do I scale that even better? And so what we decided to do was take everything we knew about mobile and build a platform that would allow us to basically license mobile software the same way you would license the CRM from Salesforce. So now instead of doing all these custom one and done jobs like we did, now people can come to us and say, all right, I need a mobile ecosystem, but I'm not going to do custom, one and done. I'm going to just license your platform and it will grow with me. Every time Apple or Google, update something or change something, or there's a new security protocol or a new feature, just like you get all the benefits of Microsoft Office just updating, you're going to get the benefits of our mobile platform updating. And so now when people come to us and, license mobile software, oh, by the way, previous, iteration with custom jobs, you're doing 30% gross margins. Now we're doing 65, 70, 75% gross margins because we're licensing software from our platform because we spent over $100 million to build it. Now we can deploy mobile applications in a week or two. They're more fully feature rich than anything you can build custom, and it's more reliable and stable because all the features are meant to be interoperable. So now where we're really focusing a lot of our attention is in industries that are late to the mobile game. So hospitals, never needed their own mobile app. They never had their own mobile app. A lot of hotels use, mobile optimized websites. A lot of workplaces, Fortune 500 companies, what do they need a mobile application for? Now they're realizing because of the features we built into the platform, they actually can use a mobile app to become more efficient, to drive profitability, and to delight their customers. And so that's what people are coming to us now. We're not one mobile app to replace them all. We're one mobile app to rule them all. Every single large organization that we deal with has multiple vendors that they use different things for. We bring it all together into one seamless mobile experience so that you can get the most out of the things you're already invested in.
So for example, with the hotel, I pull up, valet knows I just
valet, room key.
You don't have to go check in at the check-in desk because you're done. You checked in as soon as you pulled up to the valet. Then you go up to the room, you unlock your door with your phone, right?
Yep.
That's what you're talking about.
You come back downstairs, you have an immersive map. We're launching. I was actually in New Year's Eve, I was down in Atlantis, in the Bahamas. We're launching, island wide across all of Paradise Island. And, it's it's one of the largest resorts in the world. And so, how do you navigate that? How do you discover things that you want to, try out? How do you find your way around that island? Now they're going to have this immersive, really cool too. It's not even two-dimensional. It's a three-dimensional map we built for them. But it's an amazing, first step in digital transformation for a major, resort brand. But it doesn't stop there. Think about, to your point about hotels, it's not just that guest experience. There's environmental. So if you're the administrator or you're an employee, there's, scheduling housekeeping. There's dealing with environmental, so heating and cooling. There's, dealing with just basic building optimization. what doors are left open, what balconies are left open, what ACs are being overtaxed, what, basically endpoints are down, what batteries need to be replaced. There's all sorts of things you need to do when you're managing a smart building or a smart venue. And you need to have that in the palm of your hand. We have some of our customers say it's death by login, and they have like a million different companies they work with, a million different URLs. Take Norfolk Southern, smart workplace. They're building a brand new headquarters in Atlanta, Georgia. It's just about ready. They're just about to move in. I think we're up to 27 integrations. So they came to us and said, look, we want to use your platform to create the smart office of the future. And so if you download the Norfolk Southern app and you go to that building in Atlanta, Georgia, that is their flagship headquarters, you can control everything that company does, from Microsoft conferencing, Microsoft Teams for all their conferencing, Outlook for all their scheduling, a different company for their parking management, a different company for their access control, another company for lighting, another company for environmental. You want to order food from ground floor retail, all of that from one single application, one seamless experience, all at your fingertips. So that's going to be table stakes going forward. How do you make all of these things just hum, and so that they're readily available for you? You can drive, like I said, either, productivity, efficiencies, profitability, or customer satisfaction.
Let me ask you a question, Randall, on that point. So let's say I'm an employee of North and I have access to a certain amount of apps, right? I would have to assume that there are different levels of authorization for certain apps, right?
Yep.
How secure?
Well, it's one app. And
okay.
So, and you're right. And based on who you are, your user persona dictates your authentication. So every employee will have the app, and what you do with it'll just be different. Some employees might not have access to certain floors or certain, rooms. You're only going to be able to unlock your own, office with your phone. You're not going to be able to unlock your buddy's office and dig through his, scotch collection. You can, but basically from that phone, I can be sitting in my office, see a calendar notification that I've got a meeting, showing up. Visitor comes in. I can basically hit a button to send them visitor keys for the basically the day or however long I want to authorize them. They can get immediate directions on exactly where to go to meet me in the conference room for our meeting. I can call up catering for that meeting, and I can also, book breakout rooms immediately and see what's available. So it's just everything that you think about, like every pain point that you have where you could actually use an assistant. We've tried to tech enable that through our platform. So turning your phone into a mobile concierge. Same thing at a hotel. If you're just walking around thinking, gee whiz, I wish I could do X, chances are our platform can enable that. And so it's not for everyone today. It will be table stakes over the next few years. And eventually, if you go into a building that doesn't have this, it'll be like, trying to research a company that doesn't have a website. And you're like, what's going on? Why would you not have a website? Like, you immediately question their credibility as a company if you try to find them on the web and they're not there. It'll be the same thing with how you engage with people on mobile. And then so that all of what I'm talking about is what I call contextual engagement. So it's how do I get the right information or instructions to the right customer at the right time in the right place? And then what we've now begun to do, so none of that is a pivot. We've been doing that since the beginning of the company in 2009. The entire company was called Phunware as a play on words. It's mobile applications that exhibit game-like mechanics and behavior. So we're doing that now. We're just doing it at double the gross margin, and the technology is better and it's more feature-rich. And so the only thing that we've actually begun to add to it, again, it's not a pivot, it's not a change, it's if I can deliver contextual engagement with my platform today, that's why everyone got all excited. That's what we did for Trump. That's why we won the Trump mobile application, because they wanted to gamify the entire experience. We actually fit Democrats and Republicans. We don't get into into politics. We want to be able to deliver content that better engages people, and it's a great platform for cities and politics. And so all of those gamification features are now built into our platform. That's contextual engagement. What we're doing now with blockchain is, can I verify identity for that engagement? And if the engagement is profitable, can I incentivize that engagement? And so with both of our digital assets now, they're just natural extensions of a platform. So at no point but you are right about, the adversity. I mean, certainly there are things that have been totally unrelated to the company that have created, headwinds for us. For example, we took no money going public and merged with a SPAC that was a total, pardon my French, total shit show. And so, we have certainly gone through the ringer, but we've persevered because we've had a North Star. We know exactly what we're doing, exactly what we're building, and exactly where we're going, and we haven't changed anything.
Okay, so I usually leave the chart till the end, but we're gonna go ahead and talk about it right now, right? Because people are gonna pull up your chart if they've never heard of Phunware, never seen some Phunware before. They're gonna look at this chart and go, "Holy shit!" Right? This thing was $500.
No, not your viewers, because they're not your viewers, because I know that you've educated them and that you've taught them to not, to actually learn what is going on and learn that a company that went public at a $300 million valuation most likely was not worth $18 billion 2 weeks later. But continue.
Correct. So there are going to be people, though, that are going to look at it and say, holy shit, this thing was $550 and now it's only $2.95.
Yeah.
There are some factors here that you have to take into consideration, like reverse split. So, things.
Nope, there was no reverse split.
There was never a reverse split.
No,
it went to 550.
Now, Tim, I'm going to get on you. So I'll give you the answer so that you understand this and everybody else understands this. And this is the problem right now with a lot of 550. You can find, and this is very important because people don't. And we're now benefiting from it now, but people are intellectually lazy, not because they're stupid. Because there's so much going on and they're so busy, they will look at a chart and they will not ever question. We just talked about this before we started the interview. They won't question the crazy shit they hear about vaccines. They won't question the crazy stuff they hear about, Obama's not a citizen. Like they get their information from, crazies on Robinhood or StockTwits or something else, and they just take it as fact. So I'll tell you what exactly happened. And if actually anyone took 5 minutes to learn, they could see this for themselves and stop saying exactly what you said. Holy shit, how did you go from $500 to this? So you understand, we went public in December of 2018, one of the worst stock markets past the Great Recession, but before COVID, right before government shutdown. So we had 24 hours to decide whether or not to go public to merge with this SPAC. We ended up doing it. But the SPAC had 100% redemption minus about $400,000. So we got all of $400,000 going public. We raised no money. It was basically a direct listing. But when you merge with a SPAC, everyone's locked up. So our entire cap table was locked up except for the $400,000 that was left in the SPAC right before the government shut down. So SEC is not working. So what does that mean? Our public float was a little over 100,000 shares. We have 50 million shares in the cap table. Our public float is 100,000 shares and change. And you got people trying to short the stock just because that's what they do. But these are banks. They're not going to lose their ability to short. So when you got to settle in T+2, you will pay anything to not get put on a naughty list. And so our stock goes vertical. Not because there was billions of dollars of trading activity. It was millions. But the percentages were so crazy because nobody could find the shares because there were none. They were all locked up. So you had 140,000 shares trading, and you had people trying not to get put on the naughty list and trying to short but couldn't settle. So they had to pay any price to settle. And so the stock just goes vertical. Of course, that's not going to last.
Listen. I was aware of that. Okay. What I wasn't aware of, that it actually went, I mean, in my head, I don't know why I thought it. I thought you guys had done at least one reverse split, right? Because if that's the case, you essentially went from like $1 to $550.
No, we went out at $10 a share, a $300 million valuation, and then it went vertical from there. And then the problem with that, which we would have been geniuses, and this is, again, adversity. So the SPAC, anybody that's ever, hopefully some people, begun to learn about SPACs, because we did it before they were cool. Now they're kind of cool. Hopefully they're becoming uncool because they're kind of a wonky thing. But SPACs, don't have to keep their money in the SPAC, but they all get warrants for participating. So we had 7 million warrants tied to this SPAC, but they were priced at $11. And we actually had this really interesting thing where if we traded above $20 a share for 20 of 30 trading days, we could force cash exercise all of the warrants. So during this 90-day period, we were trading at 60. The lowest we traded was $60 a share. So we would have just arbitraged that. So as long as the SEC let our warrant registration statement go effective, we could force cash exercise these 7 million warrants priced at 11. So we're going to get some sort of post-public financing between $0 and $77 million. So I don't know who, one of those SPACs, knew somebody at the, SEC, but the SEC just sat on it. We kept contacting them. We were like, hey, look, when are you, this is a resale registration statement. They don't even get comments. They just go effective. So what's going on? They're like, well, we'll get to it. We're dealing with the Uber and Lyft IPO. We'll get to it. They kept pushing off. We only had 90 days to do this. And so finally they're like, well, my boss is on vacation. We're almost to it. They never let us go effective. And so after 90 days, the pendulum swings in the other direction. All of those SPAC warrant holders could cashless exercise. So somebody just told them, look, we don't want to be forced cash exercise. If you just wait 90 days, we can cashless exercise. We still get the benefit. Phunware doesn't get the cash, but we don't have to come up with cash. And a lot of them actually reached out to us and said they didn't have the cash. If they didn't have the cash to cash exercise, we could buy them for a penny. So it was just, straight manipulation. I mean, it was egregious. And we filed a couple cases with FINRA. There's nothing they can do about it. No one's going to do anything about it. But it ends up cratering the stock. So you look at April 2019, everyone just starts selling. And that's because they're cashless exercising, zero cost basis. They're just printing money on our ticker. And lo and behold, once they're done, the SEC contacts us and says, okay, you can go effective now. We're like, any comments? They're like, no, you're good. Like, thanks. So then that rolled into the lockup in the summer. And by the time the damage was done, we were below $2. And so we were in micro cap hell. And so then you just got to, you lick your wounds, you get back on the horse and you keep rocking. And the good thing is since then, I mean, we've 2-3x the stock, several times. And so each time you do that, that builds momentum. There's more people tracking it on Robinhood. There's more people paying attention to the stock. There's more distributed kind of wallets, if you will, more distributed cap table. And so, this last move, I think I told you about it. I said, look, people getting in $1 is absurd, and they should be taking it and running with it, because I guarantee you when we move big. And I still have people sending me my tweets and my emails where I said, when we move, it's going to move big. And you're like, you were right. And it will do it again. And it's because you can pay for the brand awareness that we have now. And every time we start to move in a bigger way, people go, oh, God, is it happening again? And so I don't want to have these crazy, I want to get to a more nice, consistent growth rate. But a lot of people are paying attention to our stock right now, below $3. It's a steal.
Listen, you went through some rough times. You lost a big customer, right? I mean, after all of that stocks manipulation, whatever you want to call it, you lost a big customer, right? Because of an acquisition, I believe. Mm-hmm. And you went, and then you're evolving, and I agree with you. You build the mobile app, you're just improving and expanding upon the whole ecosystem, I guess is the way I would describe it, right? Mm-hmm. The recent pop had a lot to do with the correlation between you and the association, I should say, to DWAC, which went crazy because of, it's going to be the Trump station or social whatever, right? And because you guys did the Trump organization mobilization, everyone was assuming that Phunware is going to be, somehow involved in that whole program. And whether that is true or not, I don't know. It wasn't something that, and this is what I teach my people, is it wasn't, look, it's great, it's wonderful. And if it does turn out that Phunware is somehow involved, that's great. But this is not a material event that justifies the move that it had to 24, right? This is not the move that's going to move it to 24 and keep it there, right? I should say. However, in my head, that I think, is it going to go back to 89 cents? Highly unlikely, right? I think actually right now where you're sitting, $2.50 to $3 range, I think now that is, that's your base where you're going to start building, right?
I agree with that.
And I think, the small cap, micro cap space has been getting pounded for the last 7 months, right? So it's not company specific in a lot of cases. It's sector right now.
Yeah.
Right. It's not in favor. Look at Microsoft, look at Apple. Their charts are parabolic. These are mega cap companies. That formation is unsustainable in my mind.
Yeah.
When you have a company like yours who is on the front end, and I think, you've got, let's talk about the Fun token. Let's talk about the Fun coin real quickly. What is the intent behind the Fun token and the Fun coin?
Yeah, and I mean, I do apologize. We can definitely do a follow up, because I know I got to drop in about 5 minutes for this other roadshow that we're doing, but non-deal roadshow. Not and that's probably a good way to start it. No need for financing now. So we got a $60 million war chest. I know over the summer a lot of people were worried about kind of our balance sheet, and for us, we were all had a lot of skin in the game. From a C-suite perspective and from an insider perspective, we could always fund the company. So there was never a threat of the company going bankrupt. We would have just funded it ourselves. But when you're doing it yourselves, you don't want to sit on a bunch of cash, and you don't want to dilute when you think you're undervalued. So now, fast forward to today, we are at an inflection point. So Q2 to Q3, 50% revenue growth. Q3 to Q4, over 100% revenue growth. We got $60 million war chest, liquid assets, cash and Bitcoin, ready to achieve whatever we want to achieve. Some of that's organic. We're still looking at ways we can grow inorganically. And then the real kind of two inflection points I think a lot of people aren't considering is, one, our indirect channel strategy. So, we have large billion-dollar companies licensing our software to be able to sell through their channels. And then the question is, how fast can they monetize those channels? So Carrier, $20 billion company on the New York Stock Exchange. They're basically the heating and cooling giant of the world. They're licensing our location software inside of one of their flagship apps, and they're going out to market with that. Cox, broadband of internet giant, they're licensing our healthcare solution. They've rebranded it as Cox ProSite. They're going to market with that. HID, global giant of access control and smart locks. They're licensing our smart workplace solution. They're going to market with that. So all of these things will happen, over the next, 12 months probably, as we figure out how well they sell, how well, things kind of thaw from COVID. But then in parallel to that, what we can control is two really unique digital assets. So Fun Coin, as you alluded to, and Fun Token. So Fun Coin is a regulated security token launching on Securitize. So it's a licensed ATS. And then we have, that'll be kind of trying to value data. So every time your data is sold, we want to compensate you, and we're going to do that with Fun Coin. So that's our gold mine. That's the value of data, the most valuable asset on the planet. But along the way, every time you click on something, share something, like something, do something, you're engaging with brands. That's valuable in and of itself. And so we're attempting to value that and reward people for their engagement using Fun Token. Fun Token, you can go to it right now, buy.funtoken.com. That's going to function more like, what you would see on Coinbase or Binance. That's what people kind of think about when they think of cryptocurrency. Dogecoin, Sheeb, whatever, Ripple, those are kind of this world of utility tokens. Some of them probably should be regulated. Some of them aren't, but we're doing everything as right as possible because we are, I think, the first public company to issue its own cryptocurrency, not just mine Bitcoin, not just buy Bitcoin, but actually issuing a cryptocurrency in an ecosystem that actually has real utility. And I think there's going to be a flock to that credibility and actual usability as people kind of realize a bunch of this stuff is scammers and con artists. And so we're a public company. We're fully audited. We're transparent. You can understand everything about what we're building and what we're doing. But both of those digital assets, we'll see how that translates to the public markets. It'll be interesting. I really look forward to seeing what happens. If they trade, like some of these, whether it's Squid Coin or whatever, how do you value, we could have two digital assets with market caps above $1 billion. Do we still trade at 250 million if we control a lot of the treasury or hold a lot of the treasury? It'll be interesting to see.
So let me just share with you, because I know you got to run, and I definitely want to do a follow up because
definitely
I wasted too much time.
We spent too much talking in the morning. Yeah, I know. When me and you started talking, we chatted too long.
So listen, I just want to make this point very clear. So if you're a shareholder of PHUN, I think, and if you don't have a PHUN wallet, that in my mind is not very wise. I think if you are a shareholder, the first thing you should do is go download the PHUN wallet. And I'll tell you, I didn't have a wallet. I didn't have a crypto wallet. You guys came out. You are the first crypto wallet I have. I have not participated in the whole crypto thing. I have, but in a different way. So now I have a PHUN wallet. I every morning get a question from Phunware that asks me about what brands, and I answer them, and I get 5 PHUN tokens.
And it's just an MVP. So in the beginning, so as we do this, all we're doing is building the back end. So that's rewarded survey. Then we'll do rewarded video, rewarded, go to this point of interest. Then you'll start seeing cards from brands. So we'll unveil this and unveil additional features. We even have an augmented reality component to it where you can discover things with your phone, similar to like Pokemon Go. So right now, you should download PHUN Wallet, get kind of familiar with kind of coming back and engaging with those features. And then over, every one of our 2-week product sprints, we'll start rolling out new stuff. But I apologize, I got to drop. But let's do this again, and we'll absolutely we won't spend 30 minutes chewing the fat in the beginning, and we'll do it again for sure.
All right, Randall, I appreciate it, man. Thanks for the time.
Okay,
all right, I'm going. I'm hitting record. This is so listen, everybody. This is part 2. Because Randall and I have this problem. We start talking and then because we eat up all our time before the actual interview. And I could not in good conscience put that interview out because I wasn't getting to the things that I really wanted to talk about, unfortunately. And that's why we're doing a part 2 after Randall schooled me in part 1 about their stock. It was bothering the shit out of me as to why, because I am good at doing my homework and I research companies, and I don't know why I had it in my head that you guys had done reverse, but I think I recall because I remember the stock going to $200 and something, right? Which was a massive move.
Let's start there.
I did not remember it going to 500. So I guess maybe that's why I thought you guys did a 1 for 2, because I remember distinctly the 200 plus, not 500. And I'm good at remembering numbers.
So this is good because a lot of people need to understand why we think Phunware is at a discount right now and understand what it is. And so real quick, let's start there because I know we're gonna get into the company, but people do have questions about the chart. And so I actually make me a presenter, and I'm going to walk you through this in 2 minutes, just so you and your listeners kind of understand this, because it is important to understand. Because I think, and it's something we're going to, we hated it when it happened because we knew we would have to explain it forever. And unfortunately, a lot of people don't really do their research. They don't, people are busy. There's a million different tickers to follow. There's a million different things you're trying to do in your day-to-day life. And so digging into the weeds and understanding what's happening with any one stock is not something that people want to do. Now, if you looked at the numbers when we first went public, and as you pull this up or as you make me presenter, I'll explain it.
We went right now.
No, you do that, and I'm going to talk. So we went public in December of 2018. We merged with a SPAC before SPACs were cool. 2018 in December was one of the worst stock markets since the Great Recession, but before COVID. And so the SPAC we merged with ended up having virtually 100% redemptions. So we got stuck at the end of the SPAC's life. We had done 18 months of work to get here right before Christmas, and we had basically 24 hours to decide whether to throw away the last 18 months of work or still go public but not get any money. So when we decided to go public, we basically did a direct listing. So effectively, we go public, we merge with a SPAC, which is important. We're merging with a SPAC. So that means we're locking up our cap table. So everybody's locked up except for about 144,000 shares that just happened to be left in the SPAC. It's probably people that they couldn't reach. So they probably would have redeemed if they could have found them, but they forgot they were even in the SPAC. And so what that ends up becoming is the entirety of our free trading public float. So here's what happens, and I'm going to share my screen. Can you see it now?
Yep, I got it.
All right. So we go public at, effectively $10.64 a share.
Yep.
Right in December of 2018. Over 99% of the cap table is locked up. So we have a crazy short squeeze. Stock just goes vertical. Now, what's happening is you have a small technology company in Austin no one's ever heard of. Everyone's going to short it because that's just what you do. And now they can't find shares to settle in T+2. So our public float is 0.3% of our total cap table. No one could find shares anywhere. And we're not talking about retail short sellers here. We're talking about big institutional short sellers. And if you don't settle, you get put on the naughty list and you can't short sell anymore. They will pay anything not to be put on that list. So they've got to pay any price to settle. And they're trying to find these shares. So now these SPAC holders are digging around going, holy crap, I got these shares. So some people made a killing. We were GameStop before GameStop was GameStop. And so we go vertical. There's not a lot of volume here. We're not talking about billions of dollars of trading volume because it's just so few shares. So we go vertical. Now here's the kicker. We had this clause in the SPAC that said if we traded above $20 a share for 20 of 30 trading days, we could force cash exercise all of the warrants that the SPAC holders receive. If people aren't familiar with this, when you invest in a SPAC, you put your money into the SPAC and you get warrants. You can take the money out and you get the warrants just for playing. A lot of people never invest in the SPACs in order to stay in the deal. They invest because they want the warrants for free. So now we have 7 million warrants tied to the SPAC. They're priced at $11. So we have, somewhere between $0 and $77 million worth of post-public financing we could get if we could force cash exercise the warrant stack. We had 90 days to do this. All we have to do is get our warrant resale registration effective. It's literally a rubber stamp. Nobody ever reviews it. Nobody ever does anything with it. It goes effective, no big deal. But here's the kicker. Remember, December 2018, going into January 2019, the government shut down. So government shut down, SEC's not working, we can't get this thing effective. We finally get a hold of people. They're like, hey, this is no problem. We're going to get this effective, no big deal. We actually get to about Valentine's Day, and they're like, yeah, we're just dealing with like the Lyft IPO, the Uber IPO, no problem. We'll get this effective, no big deal. And we're chomping at the bit because we're trading at this point, we're trading around, between 40 and 60. And so we're going to arbitrage that thing. We're going to force cash exercise them. They're going to pay $11 for the warrant. They're going to sell it in the market at 40 to 60. We're going to everybody wins. No big deal. Who cares? So all of a sudden we're on day like 75 and we're starting to get worried. And we're contacting the SEC going, man, why aren't you allowing us to go effective? We don't have much more time here because on the 90-day mark, you can no longer force cash exercise. The actual warrant holders can cashless exercise. So they still get to arbitrage the stock, but the company doesn't get any of the money. So here's what happened. And there's nobody that you can actually file any sort of, FINRA, case against. Somebody owning the warrants in the SPACs knew somebody at the SEC and said, why don't you just sit on this until the 90-day mark? Then we can cash this exercise. Now, why wouldn't they do that? Well, we kept getting calls during that 90-day period from all these SPAC holders who, remember, they pulled their money and all they got were warrants for doing nothing, so they added no value whatsoever. But if they didn't cash exercise in that 90-day window, we could buy their warrants for a penny. Well, a lot of these SPAC holders weren't liquid. And so they were like, we don't have the money to cash exercise our warrants. What do we do? Well, hey, we're going to buy them from a penny, or you can sell them on the market for, 50 cents, whatever they were trading at the time. But either way, you ain't going to keep them. So somebody knew somebody, and they sat on it because they were not liquid enough. And they said, hey, the best thing that can happen is this 90-day window breaks, and then we can cashless exercise. No muss, no fuss. So they cashless exercise, just crashes the stock. So now they got zero cost basis. They're going to sell at any price. They totally, just rape the company. And then, right when that's done, guess what the SEC does? They say, okay, your S1's effective now. We're like, well, okay, do you have any comments? Was there anything wrong? Did we misfile anything? No, it's good as is. You don't need to change anything.
It just took this long to get it done.
Yeah, and so it was just at the bottom of somebody's, paper stack, which is unfortunate, but, you can't cry over spilled milk, but the damage was done. So lockup expires in the summertime, and by the time we hit summer, we're $1.73, and we're in microcap hell. And
let me ask you,
these are things that every entrepreneur never predicts. Nobody ever plans. We filed 2 different cases with FINRA. Nobody cares. It is what it is, and if you're going to play the game at the highest level, you got to understand that there are institutions that have been playing this game for a very long time. There are relationships that have been built, and as a retail investor, you got to understand that there is a game behind the game, and you often don't see it. And at the end of the day, these agencies aren't out here trying to protect companies and trying to protect the retail investor. It's an institution, and it protects itself.
It is so funny that you say that, because recently, not long ago, I was actually I had an opportunity to get involved in a private placement, right? And I really love the story. I love the company. I think it's a great long-term hold. I think it's a disruptor, and I was very excited because I was going to some of my members are teachers. They're mechanics. They're they're not big Wall Street guys. But they're investing. They're taking the money that they can afford to invest, and they're investing. And I thought I was going to do something very special for these guys. I was going to allow them to participate in a private deal where they get warrants.
Yeah.
And that's something that they would never, ever be able to participate in. Right. Mm-hmm. So I was going to put together an LLC investment club and have it all flow through there. And I got told at like the last, this is like the deal's happening. I've got 2 weeks or something. Well, yeah, you could do that if your investment club was established for 5 years and had a minimum of $5 million annually. And I'm like, are you kidding me? All right, fine. I'm just all right, I won't put the investment club. We'll just let everybody participate anyway. Oh, no. You can't do that because you have to be an accredited investor. Oh, what does that mean? That means you got to make $200,000 a year for 2 years consecutively, or have a net value of $1 million without
including real estate.
Without your home. Now, I have guys that would have qualified for that, except for one thing: COVID. Some of these guys got laid off. They were making $200,000 a year.
Yeah.
Not consecutively, because COVID screwed them, right? A couple of guys got very proactive and paid off their house. In case anything happened to them, they got COVID and died, their family would be okay. Smart move, I thought. However, that took them out of the $1 million net because they paid off their house. That doesn't count. And all of this supposedly is to protect the little guy. Wait a minute. I want to understand something. If I decide to sell everything I own and go buy a stock in the open market, is anybody going to stop me? I mean, is anybody going to stop me? I'm going to be able to do that, right? Now, if it's a thinly traded stock, and I'm trying to buy size, what's going to happen? That price is going to go up Every time I put in an
Mm-hmm.
order, it's automatically going to go up, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to be able to fill my position, not without chasing it, right?
Yep.
Or I'm going to have to do it over like 90-day period, right? But participating in a private placement where you're also participating with accredited investors and you get warrants and you can buy as many shares as you want without moving the price up, somehow that is protecting the little guy.
Mm-hmm.
It makes no sense. It's a game.
And that's the thing. And I always tell people this. I told them, I was obviously, I think a lot of people know me that, I deployed a few times, when we first kind of started the war on terror. And I used to tell people, like, people get so wrapped around the axle about, well, this doesn't make sense. When things don't make sense, there's fuckery afoot. And people are doing things that to you don't make sense, but to them it makes a lot of sense. Like when you go, like my mom would always get on this trip, her baby boy is going to war and getting shot at, and like, what the hell? There's no weapons of mass destruction. Like, Mom, they knew that. That wasn't the issue. We needed to project military force into a part of the world that was not popular to do so, and we needed a big reason to do it. You were manipulated. So anytime something doesn't make sense, you got to think, what is the game? Who's playing and what's the objective? And a lot of times you'll realize that you're just a pawn and you're not even in the game.
That is not to protect the little guy. That is to keep the little guy out of the deals that could change the little guy's life.
Oh yeah. I'll tell you everything. People that, don't understand this, one of the best gifts, and we'll get into Phunware here in a second, racism, sexism, homophobia, class wars, those are poor people problems. And not really poor people, it's the have-nots. So there's only one great bifurcation of society, and it's been true since the dawn of time: the haves and the have-nots. There are very few haves, and there's a lot of have-nots. So the haves figured out how to occupy the attention span and the resources of the have-nots. So the have-nots have been designed to fight against each other. That's why you see duality in everything. That's why you see polarity in everything. Democrats versus Republicans, black lives versus all lives or blue lives. It's always men versus women. Like, you're designed to keep you at odds. We saw that in Iraq. Saddam Hussein understood how to pit the Sunni and the Shia against each other. Why the hell, or otherwise, they look at the Christianity. Why in the hell were the Catholics and the Protestants fighting? Like, are you kidding me? It's the same religion. Like, what's wrong with you? But like the haves figured out how to keep you occupied by fighting each other, so you didn't realize that you were a have-not.
I got to hit on this, man. I got to hit on this. I want to get to Phunware, but here's the thing. I've been thinking a lot about this. There are so many solutions out in the world right now by small companies, unknown companies that could make us more efficient. Okay. Make it so that
T0. I mean, Overstock tried to do it with T0. You could have a very transparent, no naked shorting, no dark pools. You could take everything you ever wanted and allow for fair capital market, fair trading, not, weighted one or the other, but just fair. If the shares exist, trade them. If they don't, you can't. You could still short it, but you got to settle, and you can't use dark pools to do it. But they don't want that, just like you don't want to make you want voting to be complicated.
Wait, you're killing this for me. You're taking it from me, man.
I've been ranting about this forever.
This is what's killing me. So one of the things from that private placement, that whole nightmare experience, I was so let down because I could not get my mechanic, my teacher into the deal. I was crushed. I was literally crushed that I could not get them in the deal. And I tried. But what it made me realize is part of the reason why crypto is so freaking successful. I'm going to go back to their strength in numbers. The retail investor, if they got smarter, if they educated themselves, if the retail consumer got smarter, educated themselves, they could turn Wall Street on its ear. And here's the thing. When I started thinking about crypto, anybody can buy crypto. Anybody. You got $200, you're in on crypto. You don't have to be an accredited investor to buy Bitcoin. You don't have to be an accredited investor to buy, to get in And that is why, part of my belief is that this has become such a big thing, right? Because anybody can do it. You don't have to be an accredited guy. You don't have to be part of the Wall Street crew to be able to get in, right?
Yep.
Does that make sense to you?
It's why we're in it. I mean, I will say my pitch, and then I'll give you just something to think about, and then we'll shift to Phunware.
Okay.
The concept of blockchain technology is not radical because of anonymity. It's radical because of transparency and consistency. So it's like, I can win or lose, but at least I know the game isn't rigged. Right now, everything that we see in the public markets, like, why does when the stock is running, why is the thing halted, but when it's falling, nobody cares? And why is Robinhood closed down when it's at 20, but then it opens back up and it's at 10? Like, what the hell is going on? Nobody knows. And that's how they like it. So with blockchain, there is a, democratization of anything, whether it's financial industry, you're trying to cut out that shady intermediary in the middle. What we're doing with data, I want to cut out the data oligarchs in the middle, like Facebook and Google. A lot of people are excited about Phunware because of what we can do in politics. People are concerned about, is my message reaching my constituency? One of the greatest existential threats to any democracy is the availability of information and ideas. And so when I post something, I don't know if you're seeing it. Like, because of the algorithms in Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and look, they're private companies now. So there's this real kind of existential question, like, okay, these are private companies. They invested their own money. They built these platforms. They don't really owe the world anything. But what should they do? What is ethically right? When something becomes that powerful, does with great power come great responsibility? I don't know. But a lot of people are starting to question that now and say, wait a minute, this platform is rigged. I don't know if I'm reaching the right voters. And when you look at, like, back to Cambridge Analytica, there were tens of thousands of people that made a difference, not millions. So all of a sudden people realize, holy crap, these algorithms reaching just one more person in those tens of thousands can swing elections. And so are we getting the best from these platforms that we deserve, whether it's finance, whether it's data, whether it's social? And so taking blockchain as a first step towards getting rid of the intermediaries in the middle who have their own agenda and they have their own bias, could we create a better world? So that's that's my excitement around blockchain, is radical accountability, radical transparency, and auditability. So I know what's going on. Now, I'll leave you. You know what? We're going to come back to this at the end of the call, because I'm going to give you. A lot of people always know me for So Peter Thiel wrote a book, From Zero to One. And, one of the pieces in that book, he says, you should ask people what is one of their non-consensus thoughts. And so what he means by that is, it's always interesting when you can get somebody to say what they don't agree with, not what they agree with. And I have a lot of non-consensus thoughts, so I don't know what that says about me. But I have a non-consensus thought about, blockchain technology that is more just for fun than anything else, but I don't want to distract from Phunware. So we'll talk, if you remind me, I'll tell you what my non-consensus thought is about blockchain technology. And I haven't heard anybody else talk about this. So I feel like I'm still kind of on the original side of this. I just wonder, and then we'll talk about it. But if you forget to ask me, I'll forget.
I want you to chew on this. I'm going to hit you with this. I just want you to chew on it. But I had this thought, what's that saying? Definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. Right.
100%.
And I think about how, our goal is to, raise the minimum wage by $2. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So, here's what I believe. All you're doing is making it so that, because there's a robot for just about every job that is a manual labor, consistent, repetitive motion job. But robotics, probably the cost analysis of having a robot and a person, go ahead, raise that minimum wage And what you're going to do, and as tech comes down in price, you're going to have a bunch of jobs that are done by robots that don't file sexual harassment lawsuits, that work 24/7, don't get sick. And I think that's going to create a problem. And here's what I want you to think about. I thought about, what if we tied welfare to an education program? Yes, you can collect a check, but you have to take a course in something. Yeah. Right? We provide the schooling. We provide the education. We make people. What is the best weapon, do you think, in the world? Is it knowledge? Would you say education is what pulls people out of a bad environment and puts them? What is it that takes those people there? It's hard work, it's dedication, it's education. Would you agree?
I would agree, and that's why it's never going to happen. So again, when things don't make sense, you got to wonder what the game is. The goal is to keep people comfortable, not keep people educated.
But that doesn't even, welfare doesn't even really keep people comfortable, right? It makes them,
but it gives them a care.
It allows them to survive.
You're 100%. Yeah, and when I say comfort, coming from a military person, you can have somebody bleeding out on the battlefield and you're just trying to keep them comfortable. So when I say comfortable, I don't mean comfortable in a 3,000 square foot apartment. I mean comfortable like not dying. But you're 100% right, and that's the great cruelty of the system. And when you think, why do we spend more money on prisons than we spend on education? There's a reason. And so, it's not in the haves' best interest to create a lot of class jumpers.
Very smart. They don't want everybody smart.
No. People that look at what's going on social media, even educated people are just basically raising their hand going, I'm an idiot, And so I always say that the best thing that, whether it's a war or vaccines or masks, or mandates, for a variety of reasons on both sides, left and right, I've got a lot of people in my network that just raised their hand and were like, I'm a fucking idiot. And I'm like, thanks for telling me, because now I don't have to associate with you. And that I mean that in as much respect as I can possibly muster. I am shocked by how many people are just stupid. If you think about, I did healthcare venture capital for over a decade. I got very smart people running around going, hey, I got vaccinated and I still got COVID. Yeah.
Duh.
And it's a vaccine. It's not a cure. And guess what?
It's not a force
field. The same thing happened. I mean, if you talk to any immunologist, they will tell you interval is always a question. And it's called evidence-based medicine. So you're going to say, all right, I'm going to put something out there, and I have no idea what the interval is going to be. It could be tetanus, polio, mumps, measles, rubella. You're always trying to figure out, when do you need the next shot? With flu, they figured out about once a year. With COVID, they didn't know. Now, the problem is they had no crisis PR. They had no good PR. They didn't understand how to communicate to people because, it's the government and they don't understand how to do things like that. And so all of a sudden, you had a bunch of mouth breathers out there who thought, well, I got the jab. Why did I get the vid? I'm like, well, first of all, when you call it the jab and the vid, I'm not talking to you because you're a knuckle dragging moron. And so leave me alone. Two, this conspiracy theory of I love when the ones that were real popular about they're implanting tracking devices that Bill Gates gave them. Let me tell you something. I was in the military. We couldn't find shit. We had DARPA spending billions of dollars and we would lose entire platoons because of communication. They did not miniaturize a tracking device to put it into your blood, you trucker from Idaho. I'm sorry. They don't care about you.
You carry on you 24/7.
100%. And it's listening at all times. Well, the government's never made anybody get vaccine for anything. Bullshit. We almost probably won the American Revolution because George Washington forced everybody to get fucking vaccinated in his unit. If you've gone to school, guess what? You've gotten vaccinated. So let's call a spade a spade. Now, if mandating it for kids or masks and things like that, totally agree with that. That gives me a lot of heartache. The real issue is states' rights, personal rights, and what can the federal government tell you to do? that is where things are getting, that's what everyone should be focusing on, but everybody's focusing on masks. Masks are hygiene theater. They don't do anything, but neither do my pants. I wear pants because it makes you more comfortable if I'm not naked when I'm walking around, a mall. And so I do it to keep you comfortable. I'll wear a mask to keep you comfortable. If it gets you out of your house and spending money in the economy, sure, I'll throw a mask on. You're not a freedom fighter not wearing a mask. Like, get over yourself. Now, but I hate when people try to argue that they're actually doing anything. It's a total waste of time to wear a mask. But you know what? I don't lose any sleep over it. And so the big thing with vaccines should be, we don't know how effective they're going to be. We're going to keep learning. It's your choice whether or not you want to get it or not. And guess what? It's a business's choice whether or not they want to serve you or not.
Absolutely.
We're done. Let it go.
That sums it up right there. That's done. I love. See, this is why last time we
didn't get to the meeting.
Right? Let's get
We're about 30 minutes in.
I want to get. Right, so here's the deal. This is what I want to. So look, we started to talk about this when we had to cut off last time. I'm a shareholder. I did not own a crypto wallet. I got to be honest. I missed the whole damn thing. I took a Bitcoin course and when it was $3,000 and I'm looking at, I walked out of there thinking this is going to be the biggest fad in the world because the wallet, the 24 words, it was like too much for me, right? I buy a stock, I hit a button, right? I sell a stock, I hit a button. It's really simple. This thing was like way too complex for me, right? And I couldn't see how grandma was ever going to do this, right?
100%.
So I was like, screw it. And then, of course, here we are today, and I'm like, I'm a dumb shit. I mean, I was a really dumb guy.
No, we're still early. You didn't miss it.
I have one wallet on my phone, and that is the Phun wallet. And here's why. As a shareholder, I am always trying to figure out ways to help the company that I partially own. Yeah. Because as a shareholder, that's what you are, part owner.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Of how to help the company grow. And if that means introductions to people I know in my circle of influence that maybe could be customers of yours, or somehow you guys could partner together and be, for both of the companies or their product, which I believe in. And I want to share it with my friends so that they use it. And right. So now I answer every day. I kind of love it now. I mean, I get a little notification. Hey, you got a question. And then I go and I open it up and I get a question, hey, do you buy any of these items? And if I don't, I said none of the above. Boom. I just got 5 tokens, man. Now, those tokens may not be worth jack shit right now, but I still got them for free.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I feel pretty good about that. So if you get a whole bunch of people answering those questions, collecting those tokens, right? That helps the company.
Yep.
Right?
It's data. So here, keep going.
You collect data that I want to provide you because I'm collecting those tokens. You have this, I don't know, there's some squid show out there on Netflix that apparently is very popular. I've never seen it, but that token went to, I think, $2,600 a token.
Yeah.
Turned out to be a scam. They bailed.
Yeah.
Which is unfortunate. I feel bad for those people. But that was a token that was built on a relationship to a Netflix. Whatever.
Wasn't even a relationship. It was just a tie-in.
It was like
look, Sheeb just basically copied Dogecoin and said, hey, we're going to do it too. And oh, by the way, we're going to blatantly rip it off and just call it Shiba Inu because that's the dog that you had on Dogecoin. And it's a multi-billion-dollar market cap.
And it went to $2,600, right? I'm looking at Phun, who's got this token, who I am providing my data to, which is actually valuable. Cookies are disappearing.
Yep.
Right? Google's going to get rid of the cookie.
Yep.
Which is an interesting move, right? So you're sitting here, that data is going to become even more valuable, right?
100%. That's the game.
That's the game.
So
Now,
let me step back and
take it from there. Take it from there.
Yeah. So I'm going to share my screen again because I want you and we talk about like how does it all tie together. Someone arrives on Phunware.com because they heard. I always say come for the meme, stay for the company. A lot of people will come to Phunware because of some sentiment and some excitement, and then they'll start digging in and be like, wait, what do they do again? And we do a lot, and so I want to make sure people understand. Just like we never did a reverse split, we've also not ever pivoted the company. What Alan and I have been building, and we've known each other since the formation of the company in 2009, has always been the same thing. And let me explain it. So I always feel anybody who doesn't know this, they need to read the book, Good to Great. It's a Jim Collins thing, but I always feel his kind of flywheel construct. And so this math at the top here is multi-screen as a service. But think about it like this. Phunware has spent more than a decade helping very large brands establish mobile ecosystems that are designed to better engage unique audiences by ensuring that every interaction is contextual. That's multi-screen as a service. We've been doing that forever. We're the best in the game. We built the first NFL app. We built the first NASCAR app. We built all of Fox's mobile application portfolio, Sochi Olympics, WWE, you name it. We have worked on some of the biggest brands on the planet. Now, fast forward to today. By leveraging, kind of blockchain technology, and let me click on this and move this forward a little bit. So, first one's going to be Funcoin. But now everybody's kind of coming to us because they're learning a little bit about what we're doing around blockchain. So by leveraging blockchain technology, we have the opportunity to deliver solutions that can not only authenticate and compensate who is being engaged. So that's this concept of Funcoin. So remember we talked about third-party cookies going away. I need to figure out how to do something with that. People always wonder, wait a minute, if data is the most valuable asset on the planet, why aren't I being cut in on that deal anymore? Well, we want to change that. So with Funcoin, we can do that. Authentication and compensation for your data, but that's not all. We can also incentivize engagement. That's Fun Token. Every time you click on something, like something, share something, do something, you're engaging with a brand. You're telling someone something about you. That's also valuable. So we want to give consumers better control over their data and their relationship with brands. So if you're interested in enterprise software, you can Google Customer Data Platform or CDP. That's what we're building with that. So just like you said, you're taking all these actions and you're telling Phunware about you. That's feeding our Customer Data Platform, which 100% is valuable. It is where the future of how brands are going to engage consumers, that's where it exists. You have to have a Customer Data Platform to manage all that data, to curate it, and to make it actionable. Now, in order to fully realize all of this potential, we're commercializing a truly decentralized data economy that requires a persistent mobile-first connection to the consumer. That's FunWallet. You can download it right now. It's like what you were talking about. You can download it on iOS and Android. And we're also going to need infrastructure that's required to support what's called an Oracle network. And so when you think about why do we buy light technology, make no mistake, everything that you know about software only exists at the pleasure of hardware. Bitcoin only exists because somebody invested in massive warehouses full of very high-end computer systems in order to make sure you could transact in Bitcoin. Every time you pull something up on your phone or the internet, that only happens because Amazon invested probably billions at this point in data centers all over the world, or Akamai. And so if you're thinking about a world in which you're decentralizing that, you got to think about it differently. Rather than having all of that computing power stored in one location, which effectively becomes a bank for data, if we're trying to disintermediate these massive central authorities in the middle, what do? You deploy high-end computer systems into people's homes all over the world. 10,000, 100,000, millions of high-end computing systems that no one can control, all connected, creating
you can't
Web3.
You can't hack just
Can't hack it.
one vault.
100%. So with that platform,
you got a bunch of safes spread out. You can't make the big haul. Exactly. It's too spread out.
Exactly. So now what that gives us is the ability to manage not only consent, but the delivery of first-party data without the need for an intermediary. And so this is the future. I mean, this is a Fortune 10 idea, if you can pull it off. First we're going to try to become a Fortune 500 company. Then we're going to try to become a Fortune 100 company. And then we're just going to grow from there. But this is not, people always, will get associated with GameStop or AMC. Those are just fun examples of retail investors taking back control. But guess what? Those models are never going to be innovative. That's a bygone model.
You just hit a sore spot with me because AMC, it was a shitty business before COVID. It's a much shittier business now.
100%.
With a much larger share count, with the CEO that has sold he's gotten his golden parachute.
Yep.
I mean, he's done. The Chinese company that owned them, they don't own a share anymore. They had 51%. Nope. They're out. They got a nice golden parachute. So is that business going to survive? I don't think it is. I think it's a dying business model at best. It might survive, but it's going to shrink because you can get the movies delivered to your home at the same exact 100%. Time to go to the theater.
All the gift that's given to the world is educating retail investors, which is very powerful. I'm glad that people are beginning to understand that they can influence the market, but they've got to educate themselves in how. So that's very positive. But for us, what I think is exciting is that this is the future of where things are going in mobile. We helped usher in mobile as an industry. In 2009, this was before the App Store. So Phunware led the charge to establish mobile as basically what has now become table stakes for any large brand. So what's going to happen next is a total shift in how people think about mobile. So I always show this slide, and I'm going to share this slide again with you. This is how people need to be thinking about why they should be thinking about Phunware, why they should be, building a position, and why it matters. And this is it. We help transition from web to mobile. And the next big shift is going to be even bigger. It's going to be transitioning from mobile to what's called digital transformation, when just having a mobile application is no longer good enough. It is going to be this concept of, really Minority Report. If anybody's seen that movie with Tom Cruise, he's walking through the mall of the future. All the advertisements are personalizing to him. Holograms are popping up. It's all, who are you? Where are you? And what's most important to you? And this could be in the real world or the virtual world. You cannot engage what you can't locate. And if you locate somebody, you really need to verify who they are. And if it's profitable to you, you may incentivize that engagement.
Let me ask you a question. So this is where I'm getting a little, maybe I'm clouded on because of the personal information, private, what people should consider their private information, right? Or a violation of privacy. For example, the location software, right? So if I elect to turn that off, does that mean now I'm not going to get that engagement, right? Because I have turned that off.
So understand this. One, this is a cultural thing, not a universal thing. So in China, everything is tracked. They have social scores. Sometimes you can't even buy a house if your social score is lower than it should be. Everything is tracked, and everything is usually through WeChat. So it's your finance, your social, your email, everything is all tied together. So a lot of the world is already very comfortable with tracking. We are too. We just pretend like we aren't because we don't like to admit what is directly in our face. I used to be in healthcare, spent 10 years investing in technology startups in healthcare. You go into a hospital, everything is tracked. Every single second of every day, every product, every person, every procedure, everything is tracked. People understand that. So it's not a question of Big Brother. It's a question of quid pro quo. So right now, USAA tracks me all the time. You know why? because they told me they'd give me 20% off my insurance if I installed an app that tracked my driving. And to me, that was worth it, because guess what? I'm not a terrorist. I'm not a drug dealer. I don't give a shit. Like, I really don't care. I just want to know what I get in return. What people don't like is surveillance when they don't know about it, and they don't like surveillance when they don't get anything for it. But if you tell someone, hey, I need you to turn on your location sharing because I'm going to deliver all this great features and functionality to you, or I'm just going to pay you, then you give that person the choice to opt in or out. That's what I meant about managing consent.
Okay.
So the idea is you have to figure out what's important to your customer and then let them choose whether or not they want to engage in certain features and functionalities, but explain to them what will be required of them if they do want it. So if you want to, log into public Wi-Fi, guess what? You may have to give up some data. If you want to get, percentage, off your insurance, you may have to turn on your location. And so what our platform does is we make that very easy for the user to understand. We make it very easy for them to consent. We manage that consent, and then we can turn it on or off very easily based on what the user decides. So if you want to have location sharing on while you're in a smart workplace that we've built, great. But the minute you leave the office, you probably don't want location sharing on, so it turns it off. And so when you're at home, you're not going to have to worry about getting tracked. Or if I'm we just launched at Atlantis in the Bahamas, or we're in the process of launching, while I'm on the island, I might want location sharing on because I'm discovering all these new things about the island. I'm trying to find my way around. I'm trying to find my friends and family that are in my party. Location matters. And so for Phunware, one of our biggest competitive advantages is our location technology that allows us to find a mobile device both indoors and outdoors, regardless of whether there's satellites involved. And then the ability to have design-led thinking that allows us to get the consumer involved with what they want to share, how they want to share it, and who they want to share it with.
And manage that all, right?
That's called managing consent.
Right. So now that is much clearer to me, right? Phunware, the whole objective. And I'm going to go back to.
Well, before you do it, remember, that's what we do. So we're GDPR compliant, CCPA compliant, HIPAA compliant, because healthcare is our biggest vertical. And oh, by the way, we did the presidential election. We had like 3 million intrusion attempts an hour. We were the only platform that was not hacked during the presidential election. You know how many people hate Trump? We were attacked consistently and constantly, and we were never hacked. There's a reason for that, because we know what we're doing.
Right. See, this is all very powerful, powerful stuff. I think that this is, and I'm not going to say that you haven't told this story before, because you have. And I think sometimes it's on a level that's up here, and people, it just doesn't get broken down to the very, the most simplistic form, right? Mm-hmm. And I think we've done a pretty damn good job of that here today. And I'm going to go back to, look, the company is $2 and change right now. It just had it run to $24, and that was part of the Trump thing, the DWAC, right? So, but if you really look at what the company's vision is and how long you guys have been working on this, right? Long time. And what you're putting together, and when you said this is not a little guy thought, this is like a massive thought, right? Yeah. It's got to take a lot of pieces to fall into place. And, I got to tell you, I question the whole light investment, right? Because from a investment standpoint, hardware is tough because it changes so quickly, right? Technology improves, margins get, depressed because something comes out, and then, so I questioned the whole hardware play, right? And you explained it to me. I mean, you said, look, there is no software if there is no hardware, which is very true, right? The fact that of the decentralizing data, from one big vault to a miniature safe in your house makes a lot of sense. I did want to ask this though. On the Phun wallet, do I have to get a cold wallet in order. My concern has always been that wherever your tokens are parked, if they sit there for an extended period of time and they're attached to the net, they're vulnerable, right? Does that make sense?
They are, and they are. The way we've constructed it, and you hit the nail on the head. You're never going to cross the chasm if you make it too complicated. And so we are managing, and your listeners can look into this, but there's always this question of layer 1, layer 2. So layer 1 is on chain. They are vulnerable, but usually because of, consumer error. But consumer error is very real. And you want to, it's not the downfall of blockchain right now is that worry of like, okay, if I fat finger some numbers and I send something and it goes somewhere else, can I get it back? No, it's gone. If I lose my seed phrase, can I recover it? No, it's gone. So there's a finality to blockchain that scares people. You're going to have to understand that. So what we've done is, because we've been working with enterprises and customers, for over a decade, and this is different than most crypto projects. We're a real company that knows what the hell they're doing. We account for that. You got to account for human error. And so we do our own layer 2 scaling inside of the app. So if you lost your tokens right now, I could get them back for you because we understand that shit happens. Now, once you decide to put them on chain and move them to another exchange, I can't help you then. Now you're on your own. So we can't solve everybody's problems, but we can solve a lot of them. And that's what's really different for us. And I know you touched on this idea of hardware. That kind of design-led thinking to protect the consumer is important. The hardware is equally important because you control your value chain. And you've already done it. Everyone always talks about they don't like hardware. But most people are investors in Amazon, and if they're not, they wish they were. And so from about this period right here in 2000 to about this period here in 2010, guess what Amazon was doing? They were investing in hardware. They were investing in brick and mortar warehouses all over the fucking globe. And everyone shit on them. And everyone said, that's stupid. What's he doing? You know what? Everyone and they never built anything. All they do is eat Cheetos on mama's couch and never innovate and question the decisions that people who are much smarter and much more daring and are pushing the world forward ever try to do. And then right around here, people said, wait a minute. Oh my God, I missed it. You were building an on-demand economy. You knew that people want what they want, and they want it right now. And they want it in the products and goods and services they buy, and they want it in the software and the content they consume. So for 10 years, I built infrastructure for not only on-demand products and goods, but on-demand cloud services. And now I'm one of the most valuable companies on the planet, and I have an unbeatable competitive advantage. And what am I going to do? I'm going to buy Whole Foods. I wouldn't be surprised if Amazon built a gas station chain or bought a gas station chain and opened up minute clinics all over the world. Like, they understand the way people live their lives and how to stay top of mind. And they did it because they had the balls to invest in real infrastructure. Everybody on Wall Street wants to invest in software. And guess what? Software only exists because of hardware. So people aren't always going to get what innovators do. And that's why they will never innovate. But it requires somebody to swing for the fences and build what's necessary in order to deliver that next big shift. So as we close here, if all of the goods and services or the content you consume is likely Amazon enabled, I want every engagement and interaction you have to be Phunware enabled. And that's what we're building Phunware to do.
I love it. I think, look, I just want to, I want to real quickly just look at the chart. Here's the deal. I personally think that this 240, 250 area is probably going to act as pretty damn good support. If it cracks, so what? It goes to $2. Here's my thing. 2 weeks ago, can't remember which guy, CNBC, asking, where should I put my money? They're telling him put it in Microsoft. They're telling him put it in Apple. They're telling him to put it in NVIDIA. Well, I've been telling my people for the last 6 weeks that here's the thing. These are mega cap companies, mega, with billions of shares. Does anybody see a problem with this chart? It is damn near straight up. Apple, same way. NVIDIA, same way. And I'll show you some charts that look very similar to that chart. How about Zillow? That chart was exactly the same. This is where it's at today. When these things crack, let's look at Peloton. Right? Peloton, where are you? So you look at, what is it, PTON? PTON. Yeah. There's Peloton. That chart looked exactly like Microsoft, NVIDIA, Apple. Now, I'm not suggesting that they're going to come down as far as these have, but what I am suggesting is that that trajectory that they were on is unsustainable. And when I look at companies like this one, now, where is my risk reward? Do I buy Microsoft at $340? Is it going to go to $680 in the next 6 to 12? I would say, I mean, look, I'm not going to say never, can't happen, because anything can happen, but I would say the odds are stacked against you. Can Phunware go from $250 to $5? I don't know. I think my odds are better there than they are in Microsoft. Wall Street wants me to buy the high price stocks because they need to unload their positions that they bought at $80, right? They need the guy that's going to pay the higher price, and that's going to be the retail guy, right? So I'm just, this is where the retail, and this is where Reddit's got it wrong, AMC. There is strength in numbers. You just need to educate yourself about good companies that have real solutions that are looking to change that. I mean, this is a massive, big idea project. You mentioned the movie Free Guy the other day. I didn't see, so I never even heard of that. I went and watched it. God, I love that movie. So funny. I love Ryan Reynolds, man. He's cracks me. I love Ryan Reynolds. But I watched that movie and I'm thinking, and I got that from you, man. I never even heard of it. And I was like, what an awesome movie, right? And that is what it's going to be like. That's where we're going. And I think it's AR, not, metaverse I know is VR. It's going to be AR way before VR, right?
We've been talking about, flying cars for 30 years, and the problem is form factor and trust. And so metaverse sounds cool, and it's being used to stoke sentiment in a lot of different stocks. There's a role for data in the metaverse. There's a role for Phunware in the metaverse. You will not see a relevant commercial metaverse for a decade at the earliest. You'll see AR long before you'll ever see, VR and metaverse. I'm not going to walk around my house for hours on end with a big plastic thing stuck to my head. Like, watch your friends play it. After like 30 minutes, they're like, I'm done. So until you see really accepted, porn will lead metaverse. I guarantee it. Porn has led almost every great technology, transition. We got DVDs because of porn. We got streaming because of porn. Like, human beings are human beings. Nobody wants to talk about it, but I always shoot people straight. I call it spade a spade. The metaverse will be dominated by porn before it'll be dominated by anything else. Guarantee it. Mark my words. So until you see that happen, don't even worry about walking through a club trying to meet your next honey. Like, it's not going to happen. Come on.
But AR, I mean, it's already kind of here. I mean, I see some of stuff that in China or that's like, oh my God, these advertisements that they have, these big, huge things, it's amazing looking, right? That's going to be here way before. And
and you know what? One thing that people are missing out on, and this is why it will remain one of the most valuable and influential innovations of human history. Here's the problem with AR. So I use Free Guy as an example. The challenge is going to be human nature. If I'm talking to you or we're sitting in a club and you've got this is why Google Glass failed. I guarantee it. If you've got glasses on that are AR glasses, I'm going to immediately be like, are you recording me? Like, what's going on? Like, it's very uncomfortable. Like, people don't like that. And so this is more powerful. Like, I want to be able to walk outside and see, just like, and this is why I use the free guy's example, because it's kind of glasses on, glasses off, but right. I want to use the phone. I want to be able to go onto a street, 6th Street in Austin, and see bars and restaurants. Some I can see with the naked eye, some I can't. I want to hold my phone up to that exact same screen, and I want to see a digital overlay. Here, go here, a big glowing sign like buy one, get one drinks down here, or hey, your buddy's down here at this bar. Holy crap, I didn't even know he was there. I want to be able to use this as a window to a virtual world laid over a real world. And then I want to put it down so that people know, hey, he's looking at something, he's interested in something, but then I can put it down and I can enjoy my life in the real world. If I'm constantly walking around with computers on my eyeballs, people are always going to wonder, are you recording me? Are you taking pictures of me? What are you doing? And that's going to keep people from really accepting that in a big way. But the reason why Phunware is everything you need to succeed on mobile, the mobile device solves that.
It's so funny that you say this, because one of the things that I was thinking, you brought up a whole different point of view. One of the things that I've been thinking is when you're walking, like if it is an AR world, right? And you're walking around, just like texting on your phone can be a distraction. How many videos do you see of people texting and they walk into somebody or they walk into a wall, right? That has been my problem with the phone being your virtual, because I could just see people walking around with the phone, not paying attention to anything else around them, right? And walking
because they're not going to use it. They're not going to use it as goggles to the world. They're going to use it as just checks on the virtual world. So it's just like you basically want to pull it out, find out some information that you didn't already know, and then put it down.
Yes.
And then you want to go about your life. That's going to be how people live. And then we'll change things as we go. But I think you're going to you're going to be hard pressed. The best you'll get is I think you'll skip form factors. Like we always do this. Like, fiber was going in all over the world. And then all of a sudden, our wireless became so powerful, we just skipped fiber. Some countries just skip fiber altogether. And so the glasses thing, honestly, I could see retinal implants. Like I could see contact lenses, because then you don't know if somebody's recording you or not.
Doing that right now.
That's what I'm saying. Like I feel like if I have something on my head, like if I go inside a building, are you that tool that's still wearing glasses like inside a building? If you're in a club and you're wearing like smart glasses, I'm gonna be like, listen, asshole, like take those off. Like what's wrong with you? And so, but I could quickly look at my phone and be like, hey, where are my friends? And I don't even have to use AR. I can have a digital map like Phunware does and be able to find things on a map that are around me that are important to me. That's what we're trying to do.
Yeah. Listen, Randall.
Anyway,
I am so glad we did part 2, man, because I think this on multiple levels, this is going to be so freaking awesome. I want to bring up real quickly. You're doing a fireside chat with Steve Grasso, who happens to be one of the, I got to tell you, I've always liked Steve Grasso. I don't think he talks his book. I think he's a straight shooter. I've never met the man, but I like him a lot. You're going to be doing the fireside chat. You should check that out if you want to hear more about Phunware.
Next Thursday.
You should look at the stock, and if you like the stock, if you become a shareholder, you download the Phun Wallet. You tell all your friends about the Phun Wallet, and you start answering the questions, and that's going to help the company get to where it wants to go. And who knows, if a Squid Coin token can go to 2,600, maybe a token that is actually part of a publicly traded company that has an actual use that there is a plan for, maybe that might wind up being of some value down the road. I don't know. But what does it cost you to answer some questions? Nothing. And you get 5 tokens for answering them. That's it. Randall, you are the man. You're the bomb. I love you. And we'll talk again soon when, down the road, and we'll see where everything is.
Absolutely.
All right.
Looking forward to it, man.
Thanks, man.
Take it
Thanks
easy.
for the. Hey, all you stock junkies. Thank you for tuning in to Alpha Wolf Trading once again for another executive interview, this time with COO Randall Crowder from Phunware, ticker symbol PHUN. If you enjoyed today's two-part video, do us a favor, give us a like. How about giving us a share? And then while you're at it, why not give us a follow? Until next time, stay safe. Alpha Wolf Trading wishes you the very best of success.